Two things to keep in mind when it comes to how Curry works out. Every day is core day, and every day is cardio day. It's just a really rough existence, isn't it? Welcome back to Balanced Basketball Academy, everybody, and today we are talking about Stephen Curry and the kind of workouts that he does in his off-season to make him, frankly, one of the greatest players of all time, but definitely the greatest shooter of all time. And for those of you who are new, I'm Coach Jordan. I was a former college basketball player, now turned trainer. Without further ado, guys, please like, subscribe, and let's just get straight into the video. Alright, we're off to an interesting start. This is a really bizarre looking drill. Looks like a glorified trust fall. I'll give an example of how I've used this drill before. So if you ever use kind of like those wall trainers that you hook up to the wall and you can do, you can do rows, or you can do, some sort of chest press. And the big thing is that you really don't want to have your butt drop and to have your core just completely collapse as you fall into the lowest position and then pull back up. You want to keep that core strong the entire time. This is an example of that. This is a big time lower back and core drill. Being able to stay really solid and, strong while your body wants to collapse. Because in this position, if somebody's only supporting you from the top of your back, your body is going to want to sit down and your hips are going to want to collapse. But keeping them from doing that requires a decent amount of core strength. This guy's sneaky strong. He can do all kinds of really intense and interesting exercises where he doesn't look like he can bully you, but he can. If you watch some of his clips, he just has a strength to him that keeps him in the running when it comes to finishing and getting by defenders with the dribble. He's pushing back and forward a little bit, which is going to work on core strength again. And it's also going to work on your shoulders and shoulder stability. Super important for shooting and finishing at his level. You can make it even harder by just putting your toes on that Bosu ball. So instead of having your shins line the entire Bosu ball, just have your feet on top of it. That's fun, also very difficult. Then the trainer is like guiding his hips here. Maybe it's just to prevent him from falling if he were to fall over, somebody's there to catch him, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't need the trainer to physically move him in order to do that. I don't know. I've never done something quite like that with assistants before, so it's a bit of a weird drill for me that I think he could have potentially done on his own, but maybe I'm not getting the full context. Yep, basic lateral steps. These are really good. Making sure you're staying on balance and you're able to take all that weight and momentum and keep from falling over. So this is in 2021. This is a little old, it's fine. He's working on a split squat, but with a kettlebell. Kettlebells are neat. They're pretty versatile. You can use them in a variety of different positions, and they're actually also pretty compact as well. So you don't require a large setup for them. That's why a lot of people use them. They're very convenient and functional weights. He could just hold two dumbbells at his side and do the same exercise, which I have done many times. But instead, he's actually doing it with the kettlebell hooked up right here as well. Your arm, as you're holding this, is going to want to drop. Your shoulder is going to want to come down. Your arm is not going to want to hold this thing up anymore. This becomes an isometric hold for the shoulder and a more dynamic exercise for the lower body. At the same time, holding that at the shoulder puts a unique stress on your core, which is going to force your core to lock in as well. It's doing a lot of things all at once. It is not just a lower body exercise where your upper body is just kind of playing along. It's a full body movement that he's doing right here, and it requires a decent amount of stability and strength to be able to do this under control. Yeah, there it is right there. This is hard. This is very hard to do. Because what I was suggesting was that he put his toes on the Bosu ball. which is not the exercise he's doing, but I'm just saying, like, if somebody were to make it harder, that's how you make it harder. That's exactly what he's doing here, but it's to a different tier, even. Because the Bosu ball has a level of stability that's easy to get used to. This thing's smaller. It'll roll away from you a lot easier. It doesn't compress with your body, so it doesn't kind of give and, you know, help you. And he's doing this on 1 foot. So he's doing it 1 foot at a time. Yeah, again, guys, anybody who's had doubts, Curry is really strong. They keep doing these leaning ones. The forward lean one I'm having a harder time with because it's... I mean, you can do that up against a wall, and I guess he's making some slight adjustments, and he's in the sand, so his feet could go out from under him, but I'm struggling to see what this does, because his trainer is supporting all of his weight, so he's just leaning on him, which is like, okay, I don't know. The one that where you're leaning backwards and you have to keep the core a little bit strong, that one works too, but yeah, with this one, this is a fairly advantageous position. Your body wants to sit like that, and yeah, it's just, I don't understand it. Yeah, we got a lot going on in this exercise as well. We got that single leg hold. Yeah, your core's going to get pretty engaged there. Your hamstring's probably going to be pretty engaged as well to keep your leg up. And then we have an RDL. I'm kidding, not an RDL. It's a row. What am I talking about? It's just a single arm row. And yeah, I mean, I like this exercise. I think the purpose of it is about stability, and he's doing a weightlifting exercise in the middle of it. If he's just focusing on strength gains, probably should put the leg down, you know, do a more standard row, just because it's really difficult for you to get mind-muscle connection if you're doing 15 things at once. But that does help with your body being able to kind of, like, you know, its proprioception and so on. But yeah, it loses strength benefits for the trade-off of other benefits, because it's not solely focused on one thing. It's a really good lunge right there with the barbell. Just standard calf raises. Although I know he loves his shoes. I wouldn't have done it in those shoes. Don't lift in basketball shoes, typically. You know, pick something a little flatter, especially if you're doing a lower body lift, just for the sake of stability. Not saying his shoes are unstable, I'm just saying that his shoes are not built to handle heavy weights and lift, but maybe he wants to sponsor his stuff while he's in this video, so I'll give him a pass, but because I've worn those shoes before. I think those are the Curry 9s. Great shoes. Love those shoes so much, but yeah. No. Don't, like, try and reinvent the wheel, guys. This is just pick up a weight that's heavier. If you want to do it with more resistance, just pick up a weight that's heavier. Maybe he wants the weight to pull in a slightly different direction to activate a different muscle. But then in that case, it's like, then do a different exercise that activates that muscle. Don't do the band thing. And if you want the band thing to make it heavier, then just pick a heavier weight. Okay, I like this one a lot. This is one of those, like, pat your head, rub your tummy kind of exercises. This can get real complicated in my brain quick. Yeah, great stability exercise. It's a side plank with a lot of extra stuff going on. Try and do this at home. I'm kidding. Don't try and do this at home. It might end poorly. I'm not going to try and do it, so no. The answer is no. Yay! Got some RDLs with the barbell. Ooh! Everybody loves that. Honestly, this is one of my favorite exercises of all time. I love that. Bro, every day is core day for Steph Curry. Holy cow, man. And this is how the NBA has changed, in part because of Curry, but in part because of James Harden as well. This used to be a travel. It's not anymore. Those extra steps. Nowadays, like, if you just do it smooth enough and quick enough, then, you know, you'll get away with it. Step, step, boom, boom. Yeah, it's... In the NBA, you can get away with it, and depending on how you pull it off in high school, you can get away with it there, too. Depends on the ref. That one's completely fine, but the pickup and then the step, step, you know, just be careful with it. But in the NBA and FIBA, you can get away with it. Oh, yay, that was neat. It's a little misdirection crossover right there, where he's crossing over, but instead of going in the same direction as the crossover, he actually goes the opposite direction. A lot of people know this from players like Levine, Jason Tatum, Bradley Beal kind of as well. Mostly just because all of them are taught by Drew Hanlon, and Drew Hanlon really loves the misdirection cross, where he, you know, you cross the ball over one way or you go between or behind one way, but you're actually hopping in the other direction. It's really difficult for the defense to know what to do, because they can either follow the ball, which is what most people do, which is technically wrong, or they can follow your hips. But a lot of times they're trying to kind of follow both at the same time because it's part of the same package, and if you're giving mixed signals, then you can get away from somebody just long enough to get your shot off. But yeah, here he goes. He throws this crossover in the opposite direction and goes the other way. The only issue with it is when you're doing a crossover instead of a between or behind, the ball's very exposed when you're doing something like that because you're not moving with it, so you have to pull the ball back in front of the defender again. So just something to keep in mind, but for the sake of this, again, he's just fooling around. He could probably do it between as well, like, no biggie. This is conditioning at its finest. You want to talk about a well-conditioned athlete? Steph Curry is one of them. Running and shooting threes. So it's doing cardio and then trying to shoot one of the tougher shots in basketball. It's corner threes, given, which are easier three-pointers by comparison, but it's still a three-pointer. Obviously, he's not sprinting the entire time. It'd be very difficult to do that, but he's going at a pretty decent clip here. And he's letting himself get set. Again, this is a really good drill. This is something that I have had to do in college, and trying to make several in a row, really hard to do. Or maybe it was just me, but I'd like to think that Steph Curry is kind of a different beast on this one. Yeah, there's that misdirection step back, but it's behind that time. Again, not difficult for him to do, and it's definitely a read if you want to do the crossover misdirection, or between misdirection, or yeah, something like that. It's totally up to what the defense is giving you. Yeah, goodness gracious. So, two things to keep in mind when it comes to how Curry works out. Every day is core day, and every day is cardio day. It's just a really rough existence, isn't it? Alright, so for those of you who think, wow, Curry's just a spectacular shooter, and he's just so naturally talented, I'm never going to be able to get to that level. Part of that is true. He is very naturally talented, and to get to that level, it's going to take an incredible amount of luck, frankly, because genetically he's just really good at it. Some people are just really good at certain things. That said, though, his ability to continuously practice so many different variations of threes and get up hundreds of different shots. He doesn't just practice catch and shoot. He practices off of a dribble move, off of one dribble, off of a catch and a jab. All kinds of different variations on variations, where he's done all of these threes that he's done, that you see in games, have been done thousands of times somewhere else. And he has practiced that thousands and thousands of times. To the point where when something happens that's literally magical, for lack of explanation, as to what he does on the court, people are like, wow, how did he do that? Must have been luck. It's like, no, he practiced that. Yes, there's talent involved, but part of the barrier of entry of being a great shooter is you got to shoot a lot of shots in a lot of different ways, and you got to do it for a long time. Oh, he's shooting left-handed. Interesting. Alright, it's not a particularly great left-handed shot, but again, he doesn't really shoot left-handed much. What's the purpose of this? Shooting left-handed. He's shooting inside the free throw line. It's kind of hard to tell, but based on where he is, he's shooting inside the free throw line. This is almost just like a touch drill, because his left hand is just as valuable to him as far as finishing goes as his right hand is. It is an incredibly important tool that he has to use, and so he's not actually practicing shooting with his left hand, but probably touch and probably control. See, now he's shooting with his right hand. He's well behind the free throw line. You're going to work out different halves of your brain as you're working with a different hand, and you're trying to work through that ability to shoot with your other hand. It's fun. I've done it before. I've tried to shoot with my left hand, and it's not as bad as I thought it'd be. And it's also just a kind of good way to just kind of really exercise both sides of your body and get them thinking in the same way. Alright, now what you all have been waiting for. I finally got a good clip where I can watch Steph Curry's shooting form. His gather tends to be on the lower side. It's probably because he grew up as a much smaller kid than he is now. For quite some time, he kind of hit a growth spurt late in his life, so he has not been a very tall person for as long as a lot of other NBA players have, meaning that his strength probably was not up to par for quite some time. His feet are actually fine. His knees are in decent position. He's got his feet turned about 45 degrees in the other direction, which actually, you would think, keep your feet straight on so you can shoot. Actually, turning your feet helps. Kobe did it. Most good shooters do it. Maybe not to quite this extreme, but if you turn your feet a little bit, it actually puts your shoulder in a better position to shoot. I don't know why. I just think that it's just a human body mechanical thing that is something I've heard and something I do and found that it works. As he's shooting it here, you can see his left hand does give a little karate chop, and sometimes if you see a still of him shooting, you'll see his thumb gives a little bit of a flick. It's really minimal though. His guide hand is not so involved that I'm concerned about it. It doesn't appear like he has a major two-handed shot. Yes, there is a little bit of extra power that comes from that hand as the thumb gives a flick. That's fine. But for the most part, you can see that power is coming straight up the chain through his right arm. So it's slightly unorthodox in the sense that like Klay Thompson is a super straight guide hand, and it's really a beautiful shot. For Curry, not as much. But that said, when Curry does gather the ball, he gets it into that pocket quite quickly, gets it up to his face. And another thing is that he loads and jumps pretty quickly. So when you when you get the ball into the pocket, but your legs aren't caught up, you end up with a hitch in your shot, where you're waiting for your legs to fully jump then so you can release. He gets his feet under him and shoots really quick and gets that. He jumps really quick, so he shoots really quick, which sounds like weird, but again, I'll play the whole thing through so you can see it. So he's doing this crossover. He gets his feet under him relatively quickly. Boom. His feet have already been under him the whole time, and then he just shoots it. A lot of times he does hold his follow-through. In this clip, he doesn't. It just depends on the shot, but he's holding it there, but he doesn't hold it for the entirety of the shot. People would say that that's less than orthodox. It's fine. It works. It's like he doesn't need to hold it for an extensive period of time. Because when I say that Steph Curry doesn't have like perfect shooting form and he's not like doesn't have a perfect shot, bear in mind it's like a perfect shot isn't necessarily indicative of a perfect shooter or the best shooter even. It just typically there's that Venn diagram has overlap. What do I know? There's all these people that are here to watch Steph Curry shoot a basketball. Like, they're at his camp. These people are just sitting and waiting for Steph Curry to finish his workout. And honestly, some of them probably showed up early to see this. Because he's the best shooter to ever live. So even if he doesn't have the shooting form of a Klay Thompson, or of somebody with a little bit more orthodox shot, it doesn't really matter, because it works for him very well. That is all I have for you guys today. I just wanted to give, another video on Curry. I like Curry. I, missed him in the playoffs because he wasn't around for very long, and like to see him bounce back next year, especially since they got Jimmy Butler on the squad, and Butler, will actually get a full year with the Golden State Warriors, coming up. So that's exciting, and it's also such a privilege to be able to watch some of the the best to ever do it in real time, such as Steph Curry, and that's something that I don't take for granted, and I don't want you guys to take for granted because there's stuff to learn from him. Let me know what kind of videos you want in the future, what players you want me to break down, anything like that. I'm totally open. I do read the comments, okay? And I will be more than willing to take a look at what you guys have. If you want to send me videos that you've seen or, workouts, you're like, hey, I'd like to see you, break this down. My Instagram is in the description. You can use that to DM me. That's probably the best way to get in contact with me currently. And anyway, again, for those of you who made this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys. And at that point, 80% of you are not subscribed. So maybe subscribe because you've got this far. It just seems logistical. I don't know. But again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.